Alrighty, well, it's now time to welcome up our resident second gen pastor, Brendan McManus.
Well, thanks, everybody. I would just like to say that the resident second gen pastor is Eli Lowe. Just like to make sure that's clear. But yeah, so my topic today, which I hope I didn't have to do today. I was hoping that it would at least be another month before I'd have to talk again, but here I am. So it's actually a continuation of what I spoke about last month. So if you remember, my last one was what we want, and I talked about happiness and kind of achieving happiness through through a principal way, which is through the three great blessings, and particularly about the first blessing. And so what I'll be talking about today is what actually happens. So kind of the hardships that's mainly like I've encountered in my life, and kind of what that means for us, how and kind of just like how it grow, like how you can grow from it, and just like maybe a few tips that I've encountered in my life as well. So it's still strongly based to the first great blessing, so being fruitful. So don't be afraid. I'm not going to tread on any new ground like usual. But yeah, so just one thing that comes up when you think about the suffering. Well, for me anyway, that kind of comes up about the suffering is also the topic of predestination. So kind of your life being planned out by God from beforehand. And so in the principle, it clearly states that this God's will can only be predestined if we are to partake in his will. We have the free will to do what we want, and if what we want doesn't align with what God wants, then his will won't be accomplished. So that point won't be predestined. And the only time that it will be predestined is with the 5% portion responsibility, which, if you remember, I also mentioned that in my first service. So I'm not doing anything new, but that's the thing. A lot of it is stuff that we already know about. Like when it comes to living our lives, it's something that we know deep down, what we've learned when we're kids, what we learned from workshops, which is it's a cool thing, but just the hard thing about it is applying it into life, which hopefully coming to services, talking to people at the community, going to workshops, making new friends outside of the church, they all can help with you figuring out how to apply these things in life, how to live a principled life, how to become closer to God, and those different things. So I hope that something will come out of this for you guys. With these, when I was thinking about it, for me, hardships kind of come in three different categories, three very broad categories. One of them is internal struggles, so just things about you. So the things that, what I talked about before, having low self-esteem, that's an internal struggle. You start preventing yourself from taking opportunities to grow. Another category that I would break it into is external. So things that, external variables or things that happen that aren't in your control that would prevent you from growing. So a big thing is relationships in school and the outside world that we live in. But just for bad influences, the society, the drinking culture in Ireland and in most countries, just things like that would affect you negatively. And the last one, which is it's a topic that's hard to talk about, especially for most people, it is quite, for a lot of people, it is quite out there and hard to grasp, but which I still believe as well, but hopefully I can give my interpretation on it, which is spiritual struggles. So spiritual hardships, which when I was reflecting on it, it really it's a main cause for the internal and external struggles. So they help, you hear about ancestor liberation and all that stuff. And if you ever had a reading from Philip Hill or someone like that, they'll generally say, your ancestors are they want to be liberated, so they're making things hard for you, or there's different or the spiritual world is this is why you're shy, or this is why you're outgoing. You have different spirits pushing you along to do these things. And the more you look into the spirit world, the more you know that a lot of your thoughts aren't your thoughts, which is a very scary thing. Like what you know is your thoughts, what you know is someone else's thoughts. And so that's why a lot of people really think, like just in conversations about like, saying things you shouldn't have, just thinking before you speak. It isn't that it's you don't say the first thing that comes to your head. Like you think about what you're going to say so that you can get your point across properly. You don't insult people. And so that's the thing. Like these things you can say could be the spirit world influencing what you're doing. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to talk about. I'm not a spiritual expert. I'm not particularly spiritually open, and it really just like that's why we have the DP and True Parents speeches and all that stuff for guidance on this specific point. And yeah, so I'll be going into a bit more detail on the different hardships, that the different categories. So the first one that I'll be talking about is internal, which I have probably the most, like out of the three, it's definitely the most experience that I have with it. So like I mentioned, these hardships come from like in the context of my talk is what they come from inside you. So the things that about yourself that you think that you bring up about yourself, the difficulties that you put upon yourself. So like I mentioned before, the big one for me when I was younger was self-esteem. It was just kind of having self-confidence. And the thing is, we're all great. We're all amazing people. There's no way you can argue against it. But that's the thing, is that you don't think that you're great. You don't think that you're amazing. And that's the thing when people talk about when you want to become good at something, like a sport or like a field, you have to think that you are the best. Even if you're not, you're not, but you have to think that you are the best. If you don't think you're the best, you won't have the ambition to become the best. Like the worldwide sports people, they come off with they are quite, like, they can come off as quite humble, but a lot of them can come across as quite arrogant, of being like, oh yeah, like it was just like, oh, if it was like, if I did this better, then I would have carried my team to victory, that type of thing. But if they don't think like that, then they can't improve. If they're happy with where they are, they'll sit back and they'll do nothing, and they won't push themselves to be better. They won't push their teammates to be better so that they can be better. And without that simple mindset of being the best, then like they won't achieve that. And so the first struggle of thinking that being okay with thinking that you can be the best is self-confidence and self-esteem, which is like, it's by no means an easy thing to overcome. It's extremely hard. And because it doesn't have anything to do with anything else, it's you and yourself. That's what's stopping you with these struggles. It's not someone else telling you anything. It's just all in your head. It's all like yourself. Well, as I mentioned with spiritual, it might not just be yourself, but it does influence your overall thoughts, which is also like what Joel mentioned with the Jordan Peterson book, with the readings, and what we had at Hanukkah, was talking about minimizing these thoughts, like at a very minimum, thinking less negatively about with these thoughts. So basically, when it was saying that like the anxious and kind of more extreme thoughts on top of tragic just become tragic thoughts. So it's not the nicest of messages, but like at the core, I think it's a very good thing, where he's not saying that you have to cut out all these thoughts completely. It's that you need to minimize the negative effects on you. That's what I got from it anyway. So just instead of when he says tragic, so it's kind of like, oh, I'm instead of being like, oh, I'm really bad, it's like, no, I'm actually okay where I am. And then from there you can work. So once you reach that, then you can work to being, no, I'm good and I'm better. I'm the best. So just taking those small steps to overcoming that. And I guess another internal struggle that was prevalent for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, is procrastination. So just pushing things away. And it's just I'm sure you all know how it is. It's just like, no, I don't want to do this. I'll do it later. I was like, I'll just play a few more games. It's okay. No, I'm hungry. I'll go eat. It's like, oh, I'm tired now. I'll go to sleep. And then suddenly it's the night before, you have an assignment due, and you're like, oh, crap. Like, and then you want to push it off even more because you feel so bad about it. You feel so anxious. Like, no, I'm not going to get it done in time. It's not going to be good. But you have to like work through it anyway. And like that is such a big like internal struggle, is just, not having the self-discipline to do the assignment when you should. Like there's no right time for it. There's a lot of right times for it, which is like when you're not doing anything else, just working on it slowly. You don't have to do a lot. You don't have to do it on the first day you get it. Maybe the best time for you is the day before, but as long as you actually plan for it and you don't push it off and you have it all set up for yourself, so the main thing is just kind of having the drive and the self-discipline to do things on time, to do things productive with your time. And so like these also again heavily connect to the first great blessing. Surprise, surprise. Maturing yourself. And that's the reason why I talk about it a lot, is because I feel it's the number one struggle, I think, for most people, and kind of grasping what it is and figuring out how you can achieve it. But the thing is, also it being the number one struggle, I think, is one of the number one things that we should be striving for. It's like once you fulfill the first great blessing, it automatically opens up the next two to you. It's like you can't hit, like I mentioned on the last service, you can't do the second and third blessing and then the first blessing. You have to hit the first blessing first, and then the second one and the third one. And to do that it takes a long time, and it never finishes. So so you have to get to a point where you are mature, but not the most mature person, because I don't think anyone in the room would be able to achieve the most a mature person. But just like knowing that you're working on it all the time is definitely is nice, because once you work on it, you become more self-confident, you become happier with yourself, and and you work on these struggles, and you'll be able to you learn so much more from your experiences in life, and being able to analyze what happened in your life, rather than something happening and you just kind of be like, that was annoying. I was like, I'm just gonna push away and not think about it anymore. But you don't learn anything from it. So that's why these hardships, they're annoying, they're hard, they make you feel bad, but learning from them is something special that we can do. It's you learn from it, and you know how to deal with it afterwards, and you know how to help other people with it afterwards. And yeah, so just for general advice for overcoming internal struggles with yourself, is just accept it. It's like, I don't mean accept it and do nothing about it, but I mean accept that it is a problem with you. It's it is something that you struggle with, and that is it's not. It doesn't take away from your personality or anything. It is part of your personality at that moment, and the only thing you can do now is just work on fixing it. And if you don't accept that it is a problem, then you can't work on it. You can't say, oh, I never procrastinate, yet your assignments are barely in on due, and barely in on the due time, and they're barely a pass or anything like that. You can't really say, if you don't accept that you procrastinate a lot, then you can't fix it. And so just really reflecting on yourself as a person, and really thinking about what do I struggle with myself, and just really honing in on those points, and really accepting that, yes, I do that, so how am I going to fix it? It isn't, oh, I do that, oh well, that sucks, I'm a bad person now because I with that. But it's just figuring out what you can do to help. And another common theme that I mentioned last service as well, is that we as a community in the church here, in the church worldwide, is that it's such a great place to grow, because we all consciously are trying to grow as people, and so it's the best environment to work on these things. You can get people that have the same similar problems, and just working on it with them, so that you can keep each other going when it gets harder and stuff like that. So I'll go on to the next category, which I mentioned is our external struggles or hardships. So the big one I gave was with school. In school, you're generally all alone, quote unquote. So because you generally don't have other church members in. You might have your siblings in the same school if you're lucky. If you're very lucky, you might have friends from the church in there. But I know a lot of times, especially with with myself, it was either just me. It was me by myself, or it was me and my brother, or it was me, my brother and sister, or it was me and my sister. So, but the thing is, I just hung out with my brother. I never talked to my sister, and she never hung out with us at school. We briefly did. So, and then I wasn't in the same year as my brother. I wasn't in the same year as my sister. So I'd usually end up having my own friend group and just being by myself as a BC in school. And so, like, what hardships do this bring? It brings like a conflicting of beliefs with people believing it's okay to drink, it's okay to do drugs, it's okay to smoke, and just but it's the opportunity is there for it to try and influence you. And obviously I don't think I need to go into why this is bad, or even I don't even I already mentioned it is bad, but so. And also there's other things generally the also relationship culture in life. And at the moment I'm very fortunate in work. I have two other BCs with me. I have Rory and Jungsil. They're working at SSE Electricity, baby, New Providence. No, but so it's nice having, being able to if I have some struggles in work that are that come up in work that are church related, personal related, family related, I have two people that I feel very comfortable talking with, and they feel very comfortable talking with us as we very often go to each other during work hours and just be like, bro, I can't deal with this. And it's just I'm going on lunch, and when we go on lunch, we just have some talk about what's going on and such. And it's so it's and also, but apart, if you don't have this, then kind of creating your own pseudo church bubble is kind of something that you can do. But for me, the important thing is creating a pseudo church bubble that includes other people. If you do it yourself, you're just by yourself, and so you're isolating yourself from everybody. Because those struggles that you get there are included in that bubble alone. So it's only you that are dealing with those struggles. And when you go home, you probably don't want to bring it out to anybody there. And so you create the struggles are given to yourself by yourself, for yourself, and you deal with it by yourself, which are not the most ideal of situations. You generally want to, if you're by yourself, you're in your own head. And when you're in your own head, there's no getting out of your own head, no matter what. And you go into an infinite loop of just spiraling badness, I guess. And so, what do I mean by the pseudo church church bubble that includes other people? I mean, just including, making friends with people where you, in your situation, in school, in work, and maybe you go to football clubs or sports clubs, or I don't know, reading groups, I don't know, knitting clubs or whatever you do, just making friends with those and kind of, making it clear what you stand for, making it clear your beliefs, and not trying to fit their mold, what they try and fit you into, your own person, your own beliefs. And there's no reason why people shouldn't know what your beliefs are, what you stand for. And most of the time they don't have no problem with it. A lot of times I'll be talking with friends, and then I have this thing where if someone asks me about religion, I will openly tell them what I believe in, how to read more about us. I'll of course warn them that we're probably labeled as a cult, and they might see us in loads of different cult articles and stuff. But I trust that they'll judge it based on me rather than what they read. And the thing is, so every time that I have told someone about this, they're like, okay, that's cool. Like, it's cool that you believe in this. It's cool that you have a lot of times they have a new respect for you because, a lot of times you haven't like, well, for me personally, I haven't like drank or smoked or done drugs, have any relationships or anything like that. And they're like, respect you. Like that is like in this day and age, it's hard to avoid all that. And they give you respect, and a lot of times they're very curious about it, and it's very nice to have someone who's genuinely curious, just asking you questions about what you believe, and with no judgment whatsoever. And then once you go through that with them, they're now part of your pseudo church bubble. They are people that you can talk to about different struggles, and they understand why you're struggling with it, instead of being like, oh, I don't know if I should go to this party. And it's like, why not? It's like, oh, it's just, I can't really talk about it. But now it's like, I don't want to go to parties. Like, oh, why not? It's just like, oh, I know this person like fancies me. They're going to be there. They're going to be drinking. It's going to get weird. And of course, this is all speculation. Nothing's ever happened to me, thank God. Bless up. No, but, and so just having creating these, these extended bubbles of close friendships, it makes things easier. Instead of having to hide and to put on another facade or another mask, you present plainly what you are, and they generally respect you for it. And if they don't, why are you talking with them? Because most of the times people there's always the argument of, are people inherently good or inherently bad? I believe people are inherently good, and I think that they will genuinely respect you for having those beliefs. I don't think it's something to be too afraid of. Of course, there's the odd time where it does backfire and it does become awkward. But I personally haven't hasn't happened to me. But generally, it only comes into religion when I actually talk to a lot of people. I'm not the most social person, so I don't really get caught in many conversations too often. But when I do bring it out, I generally have a good experience with it. People are like I mentioned, generally curious. They're nice about it. And so, and just with if you are still struggling with it, about people coming up to you being like, oh, like this person fancies you to go out with them, or like, oh, do you want to go out for drinks, or do you want to just whatever like that. One thing that I felt really strengthened my faith, really strengthened my conviction with it, was just something simple, just saying what I call just saying no with a reason. So instead of just being like no with an excuse, it's no, I don't want to, because it's part of my beliefs. And also I have, on top of the religious beliefs that we have, I also made up my own reasons. So with alcohol, I think it's stupid. The drinking culture is just that, they go out to get drunk, they forget half the night, they spend a load of money, they do things they regret, it alters your brain chemistry. It's just for me, it just makes no sense. And then with smoking, it's obvious you're going to die way sooner than most people. You get cancer. It's just not. And one thing that also shed a bit of light is just a funny story. One of my friends who smokes a bit, he's like, oh yeah, I found this brand, and it's just before it's it's a smoke. It's when I smoke, it's it actually it tastes like smoke, and it's kind of and it's kind of like wood smoke, whatever. And I was just like, that's a new perception on smoking, that if a cigarette tastes like smoke, it's a good smoke. So what are you tasting when you're normally smoking? He basically said chemicals. So it doesn't even it just kind of, it blew my mind that cigarettes don't taste like smoke. It kind of just was really weird to me. And I was like, okay, that's there's definitely no way I'm going to try that then. And so just kind of thinking about on top of the religious beliefs that you grew up with, also having your own reasons why you don't want to, it helps with answering those questions, and also just with you saying no with conviction and not having the thoughts of trying it out, or why not, or anything like that. And so the last one I'll talk about, and also I mentioned it's trickiest, I'm not an expert in, is the spiritual. And for me, like I mentioned, I think it is a big root cause of both the internal and external struggles. And it's like I mentioned, so what I mentioned with like a big thing at the moment is ancestor liberation. So what exactly does that mean? And so basically what it is, like we get different generations spanning hundreds of years of your family getting restored so that they can get blessed in the spirit world and, like become closer to God, get their like sins forgiven, all that stuff. And the thing is so with a lot of these struggles and why the ancestors are, I guess you could call attacking you with these internal, external struggles. The reason why they're doing that is they're trying to force you to get them liberated, and they're trying to, because they really want to. They want to, they want to come closer to God. They have, like, they passed on. They didn't have the best lives, but they want to atone for it, and the best way they can do that is through you. And if you ever read about, growing in the spirit world, it's a tedious process where you join somebody and you try and get vitality elements through them, so getting them to do good things, and you grow from that. A very brief, probably ignorant view of that, but that's just what I have to work with. But yeah, so, and like, but also on top of the ancestors trying to get liberated and helping, like attacking you, there's also other spirits that are malicious, that are just trying to get something from you, and that generally comes about with like the different thoughts that can bring down your self-esteem, influencing the environment, so that like you are like approached for like and tempted with different things. And it's just kind of like it's a hard topic for me to talk about, just because I don't have the most experience with it. But I do think it's something that is important that people know about and that they are conscious of. Not to be afraid of your own thoughts, not to be, like, I don't know, wearing like just spraying holy water or holy salt everywhere you go to like defend the evil spirits back or anything. I don't think it's the worst idea, but I definitely think there's like kind of just strengthening yourself, I think is kind of the best for me. Like what I think is probably one of the better defenses against it. Just kind of, and like a few things that definitely help is prayer. It's something that is talked about a lot. It's something that people don't do a lot. I specifically don't do it that much. Like I always, every time I do come crawling back to God with a prayer, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'll try to do it more, and I just instantly forget. But the thing is, even if you don't like pray too often, you do go to God with only when you need something, which is definitely not the most ideal. Like I said, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure a lot of people are guilty of it. But the thing is, if you go sincerely to God, He will help. And also, it's not just when you pray, it's not just a direct line to you and God, it's a direct line to the spirit world. So it's not just God that can like hear your prayers and help you. It does a lot of people. And a lot of times, like it's kind of dumb, but like I had a good day and I just lie down in bed. I'm like, that was a good day. And I was just like, I just think about all this like spirits that could be around me. I'm like, thanks guys. And then I don't know, it's just like, I just feel good afterwards. Like I get like a tingling sensation, and just as if someone's answered, like being like, I got you, bro. Like, just feel like, no problems. I'll be there tomorrow. And kind of just being like, it's just something simple that I like for myself, that I do feel it's like it reinforces what I'm talking about today. Like I do truly believe what I'm talking about today. And like with the prayer asking for help from God and spirits and ancestors, there's a reason why we say that. It's because they can hear us, they can help us. And there's also like, I guess another thing that could make you feel a bit better if you do slip up anywhere is the topic of indemnity. So the big I is kind of just, it's not shameful. It's kind of, it has big connotations about, failure, like, making up for failure, but it's not there to shame you. It's there for you to atone. And once you atone, that's it. It's gone. That's what you did in the past is now burned away, forgotten by all. And So it shouldn't be something that's like you're ashamed of, and everybody is doing it. Everybody is paying indemnity for your, like I said, when you're being attacked by ancestors. That's part of the indemnity for, and doing landslide separation, indemnity, stubbing your toe, probably indemnity, but we don't know. But so it's like it's a like indemnity is not, it's not something to be ashamed of, and it's something that should be like, it should be done with care. It's not something to be like, oh man, like, oh, just like I had too much sugar today, time to do 40 bows. Like it's not the worst thing to do. Like if you're trying to keep to a condition, like when, like the main thing when you do in a condition, you forget a day. So you do it like the same, you do it on top, like double on top. So if you're doing 40 days, you miss a day, you do 120 bows the next day. So you do 80 bows and another 40. So you do 80, so the 40 is what you missed, 40 is what indemnity for missing it, and then the 40 the next day is for doing the actual that day's bows. So, but the thing is, so when indemnity is a big word, it's a lot of connotations with it, but doing it is very important, and it's very easy to not do. And that comes towards, people trying to get you to, like spirit trying to get you to fail, and also like internal struggles with procrastination, not wanting to do it, laziness, sloth, the 7 deadly sins, whatever that is. And but like it's nothing. The thing is, like for me, I think that failing something is not bad. It's not horrible as long as you acknowledge you failed it, you know the reasons why, and you work to better yourself because of it. And so that's why a lot of people, like, they're just like, I missed a day of my condition, my life's over, I gotta go, just gotta leave the church, it's all gone, burn it all down. It's just like, it's not, I don't think it's that bad. Like, it's, as long as you, like I mentioned, atone for it in any way, then I think it's fine. And of course, I'm not, like I mentioned, limited experience with it. Take it with a grain of salt. Talk to Eli, maybe he's spiritually enlightened about this stuff. Might be able to tell you. Probably not. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I mean as well. There's other people to talk to about it. There's people that have similar situations in the community, your family, your friends around the world, maybe in your friends in school. Maybe they're like, they have like your boy Jordan Peterson. He's not part of the church. He's not particularly religious, but he has a principled lifestyle, which is why Sam went out of his way to share it with us today. And like, so there's people that have answers that aren't part of the church, which is why I also feel like it's very important to have that outside bubble that you create with your friends in your environment. And yeah, so like these problem hardships, they're like, there's no doubt about it, they're problems, but they shouldn't be seen as a wall that you can't go over. They should be seen as opportunities to grow. Ooh. But it's like, it's cheesy, but it's there for a reason. It's there for indemnity. It's there for your ancestors. It's there for yourself. And like overcoming it and becoming better is just like, it's all bonuses. Like you work, you feel good about working, you finish it, you overcome it, you don't have to worry about it again, but you know how to overcome it again. And it just becomes easier every single time. And yeah, like I mentioned a few times, that we're not alone. You might have a problem. It might be an internal problem about self-esteem, but you're not alone in that problem. A lot of people have self-esteem issues. A lot of people have fail at different points in life, fail at different things in life, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There's always people that have experienced it as well. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. And really, if you need it, like look for the help for it, like the community, your family, like any support that you can for it is like the community is always open to help. Like we're always open to help you. And it's not, like I said, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like everybody fails at some point in life. Like I'm still in university after 2 years. Like it's not my plan. It's not something I plan to do, but it's something that I will be finishing this year, guys. I promise all of you. But so it's like, as long as you work at it and you grow from the experience, it's something that's like how can it be seen as bad if you're growing and becoming a better person? Yeah, so don't see these these problems as walls, like really, like kind of analyze what they are to you, what it could mean, and just really working towards, becoming a better person through these hardships, through these problems. And yeah, I think we'll all become the most mature people in the world eventually. Thank you.
Walls are opportunities to grow. Brendan McManus, 2019.